"If you can fix this engine, the car is yours." The mechanic mocked, but the cleaner surprised him. Jennifer Parker arrived earlier than usual on that rainy Monday in May, carrying her cleaning bucket and the mop that already knew every corner of Premium Motors Workshop in the Beverly Hills neighborhood of Los Angeles. For 3 years, she had followed the same routine, always punctual, always discreet, always invisible to most people who passed through the place. But that day, something was different. Robert Thompson, the owner of the workshop, was standing next to a black Mercedes-Benz with the hood open, his hands on his head, visibly desperate. Mike Johnson, the head mechanic, was laughing loudly as he gestured toward the engine, clearly amused by the situation. "Mr. Thompson, I already told you this engine is out of this world," Mike said with that arrogant tone Jennifer knew well. "Not even me, the best mechanic on the South Side, can fix this. You'd better accept that you'll have to send it to the dealership and pay a fortune." Jennifer approached quietly, as she always did, to start cleaning the area. She had overheard conversations about that car over the past few days. It belonged to a very important client, a businessman who had left it for a simple checkup, and now the engine just wouldn't start. "3 days, Mike," Mr. Thompson said, his voice heavy with frustration. "3 days, you've been tinkering with this engine and nothing. The client will sue me. He'll spread the word that my workshop is incompetent. I'll lose the reputation I spent 20 years building." Mike shrugged, as if the problem wasn't his. "Look, boss, I tried everything. This kind of German engine is too complex. It has electronics even the Germans don't fully understand. The only solution is to accept that not everyone can fix everything." Then Mike noticed Jennifer organizing her things nearby and had an idea he found hilarious. "Actually, Mr. Thompson, how about we make a little bet?" Mike said with a wicked smile. "If our little cleaner here can get this engine to work, I'll give her my car." Some mechanics who were arriving for the morning shift heard the offer and started laughing. Jennifer felt her face grow hot, but kept pretending she was busy with her tasks. "Even better," Mike continued, excited by his own joke. "If she can get this Mercedes running, the car is hers. What do you say, Mrs. Parker? Up for the challenge?" The silence that followed was heavy. All eyes turned to Jennifer, who was still facing away, organizing her cleaning supplies. Mr. Thompson seemed embarrassed by his employee's attitude, but said nothing. Jennifer slowly turned, looking straight at Mike. Her eyes revealed a determination no one there had ever seen before. "I accept," she said, her voice sharp as a blade. Mike's laughter died in his throat. The other mechanics stopped laughing and stared at her in surprise. Even Mr. Thompson's eyes widened. "What was that?" Mike asked, unable to believe what he'd just heard. "I said I accept your challenge," Jennifer repeated, walking toward the Mercedes. "But on one condition. If I get this engine running, I don't just get your car. I want you to apologize to me in front of everyone for treating me like I was beneath you all these years." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing, Mike looked around, realizing everyone was paying attention to the conversation. He couldn't back down now. It would make him look like a coward in front of his co-workers. "All right, Jennifer," he said, trying to maintain his mocking tone, "but there's one detail I forgot to mention. You only have 2 hours. And if you can't do it, you'll apologize and admit that a woman's place isn't tinkering with engines." Jennifer felt a sharp pang in her chest at those words, but she took a deep breath. She had spent the last 3 years swallowing humiliations like that, always silent, always obedient. But that day, something inside her had changed. 2 hours is more than enough," she replied, removing the blue cap from her head and tying her curly hair into a bun. "But before I start, I need some specific tools." She walked over to her cleaning supply closet and, to everyone's surprise, pulled out a few screwdrivers, pliers, and other tools no one knew she had. "Since when does a janitor carry mechanics' tools?" one of the employees muttered. Jennifer didn't respond. She slipped on her yellow gloves, the same ones she used for cleaning, and leaned over the Mercedes engine. Her movements were precise, confident, as if she knew exactly what she was doing. She murmured, examining the components. Turbocharged V6 engine, direct injection, individual coil-on-plug ignition system. Interesting. Mike Johnson lost some color in his face when he heard those technical terms coming so naturally from Jennifer's mouth. "Mr. Thompson," Jennifer said, still with her head under the hood, "do you have the electronic diagnostic tools?" "I do," replied the owner, growing more intrigued by the minute. "Mike, get the scanner for her." "She doesn't even know how to use that," Mike protested, but went to fetch the equipment anyway. Jennifer connected the scanner to the car's system and began analyzing the error codes on the screen. Her fingers navigated the menus with a familiarity that left everyone speechless. "Error codes P1016, P1017, and P1018, she murmured. "Issues with the timing between the camshaft and crankshaft. And here, P0300, random misfires." She stepped back from the car and looked directly at Mike. "You messed with the timing chain, didn't you?" Mike turned red. I tried to adjust it. I thought..." "You threw off the timing," Jennifer said, shaking her head. "And from the codes I'm seeing, you also swapped the ignition coils around. An engine like this doesn't forgive rookie mistakes." The silence that followed was deafening. Mike, who boasted about being the best mechanic in the area, had made basic errors any first-year student would know to avoid. "How do you know all this?" Mr. Thompson asked, genuinely curious. Jennifer paused for a moment, as if deciding how much to reveal. "I wasn't always a janitor," she said, turning back to the engine, "but that's a long story. Now, if you'll let me, I have an engine to fix." She asked Mike to help her access the lower part of the engine. He obeyed, clearly nervous. Jennifer crouched down and began working on the timing chain, her movements so precise they looked like a dance. As she worked, memories began flooding back. She remembered being 15 years old, learning mechanics from her father, William Parker, in the backyard of their home in Silver Lake. He always said her hands were blessed for understanding engines. "Sweetheart," he used to say, "an engine is like a human heart. If you listen carefully, it'll tell you exactly what's wrong." Jennifer had graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering from the University of California, Los Angeles, specializing in automotive engines. By 25, she was already considered one of the best engine diagnostic specialists in the city. She had her own workshop, a team of mechanics who respected her, and a bright future ahead. But life has those cruel surprises no one expects. 4 years ago, her husband Brian had started showing strange symptoms: extreme fatigue, joint pain, episodes of mental confusion. After months of doctor visits and tests, the diagnosis hit like lightning: multiple sclerosis in its most aggressive form. The treatment was expensive, very expensive. The health insurance only covered part of the costs, and the special medications could run up to $3,000 a month. Jennifer sold the workshop, sold the car, sold everything of value they had to fund her husband's treatment. When the money ran out, she had to take any job she could find between Brian's physical therapy sessions and doctor appointments. That's how she ended up at Premium Motors Workshop, accepting the janitorial position that was available. For the 3 years she worked there, she never told anyone her story. She arrived early, did her work quietly, and left. She overheard conversations about cars, mechanical problems, difficult clients, but always remained invisible. Until that day. Jennifer finished adjusting the timing chain and moved on to the ignition coils. Every movement was calculated, precise. She didn't just know what she was doing, she completely mastered the craft. "Done," she said, closing the hood. "Mike, start the car." Mike hesitated. "Go on, start it," insisted Robert. Mike turned the key in the ignition. The engine purred smoothly, as if it had never had a problem. The sound was perfect, balanced, healthy. Everyone fell silent, absorbing what had just happened. The janitor had fixed in 40 minutes what the head mechanic couldn't in 3 days. "How?" was all Mike managed to murmur. Jennifer removed her yellow gloves and looked at him with a calm expression. "Experience," she said simply, "and respect for the work." Robert stepped closer, still processing what he'd witnessed. "Jennifer, I didn't know you." "No one asked," she replied, starting to pack up her tools. And I didn't offer the information. Sometimes it's easier to be invisible than to explain why you're where you are. Mike was clearly shaken. He'd been publicly humiliated by someone he considered beneath him, and now he had to hold up his end of the deal. He began, but the words wouldn't come. You said if I fixed the engine you'd apologize, Jennifer reminded him. I'm waiting. The other mechanics gathered, curious to see how Mike would react. He looked around, seeing all the faces turned toward him, waiting. I apologize, he muttered, staring at the floor. Louder, Jennifer said, and look at me. Mike raised his head, his face red with shame. I apologize, Jennifer, for disrespecting you, for doubting your ability, for treating you badly all these years. Jennifer nodded, satisfied, but then Robert spoke up. Hold on, Mike. You said if she fixed the engine, the car would be hers, the Mercedes. Mike paled. Robert, it was just a joke. I didn't think... A man has to honor his word, the shop owner said firmly. You made the bet in front of everyone. Now you have to follow through. But I can't give away the Mercedes, Mike protested. It belongs to a client. Then you'll have to give her your own car, Robert declared. And if you don't have the money to replace it with a Mercedes, you'll work until you pay it off. Jennifer raised her hand. No, she said. I don't want his car. Everyone looked at her surprised. I didn't do this for the car, she continued. I did it for dignity. For mine, for all the women who are underestimated every day, for all the workers who are treated as less important just because they do jobs others consider simple. She looked directly at Mike. But I want you to learn a lesson. For the next 3 months, you'll work part-time as a cleaner here at the workshop. Not to humiliate me, but so you understand that every job has dignity, and you're no better than anyone else just because you have a different position. Mr. Thompson smiled. He was clearly impressed not just by Jennifer's technical skills, but by her wisdom and maturity. Jennifer, he said, I have an offer for you. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot for those of us just starting out. Now, back to the story. What kind of offer? She asked cautiously. I want to offer you the position of technical supervisor at the workshop. A salary 3 times what you earn as a cleaner, plus a commission for every car the team fixes under your guidance. Jennifer felt her heart race. It was the opportunity she dreamed of for the last 3 years, but never thought possible. Mr. Thompson, I really appreciate the offer, but I can't work full-time. My husband, he needs special care. What kind of care? The owner asked, genuinely interested. Jennifer hesitated. She'd never spoken about Brian to anyone at the workshop. It was like 2 completely separate lives. He has multiple sclerosis, she finally said. He's at a very difficult stage of the disease. I have to take him to physical therapy 3 times a week, to regular doctor's appointments, and there are days he can't be alone. Mr. Thompson thought for a moment. What if we adjusted the schedule? You could work from 7 in the morning until noon, Monday through Friday. And on Saturdays, if there's an emergency, you'd only come in if you could. What do you think? Jennifer felt her eyes fill with tears. It was more than she could have hoped for. I need to think, she said. It's a big change. Of course, Mr. Thompson replied, but don't take too long. I have a feeling you're going to make a big difference here. That afternoon, Jennifer came home with her mind racing. She lived with Brian in a small 2-bedroom apartment in Echo Park, which she'd managed to rent with the money left over from selling their old house. Brian was in the living room, in his wheelchair, watching TV. At 32, he was still a handsome man, but the disease had taken its toll. His movements were limited, and on bad days he struggled to speak. How was work today? He asked, noticing she seemed different. Jennifer sat on the couch beside him and told him the whole story, about the challenge, fixing the engine, Mr. Thompson's offer. Brian listened quietly, and when she finished, he smiled. I always knew you'd go back to being a mechanic, he said, struggling slightly to form the words. You were born for it. But what about you? She asked. If I accept, it'll mean changes to our routine. I might have to hire someone to stay with you some mornings. Brian took her hand. Jennifer, you gave up everything for me. Sold your shop, left your career, became a cleaner just to take care of me. I won't be the one to stop you from doing what you love. But the money to pay someone... With the new salary, we'll manage, he interrupted. And besides, you're underestimating what I can handle. I can be alone for a few hours. I'm not completely helpless. Jennifer smiled. Brian had always had a way of seeing the bright side of things, even after the illness entered their lives. There's one more thing, she said hesitantly. I kind of had a fight with Mike today. I made him apologize in front of everyone and even demanded he work as a janitor for 3 months. Brian let out a genuine laugh, the first she'd heard in weeks. My wife has always been tough, he said. I remember when you fired that mechanic from your old workshop because he was harassing the receptionist. He deserved it, Jennifer replied, just like Mike deserves to learn some humility. They talked late into the night, planning what their new routine would look like. Brian insisted she should accept the offer, and Jennifer began allowing herself to dream again about returning to the work she loved. The next morning, Jennifer arrived at the workshop with an answer from Mr. Thompson. But before she could speak to him, Mike stopped her. Jennifer, he said, looking embarrassed, I wanted to talk to you. About what? She asked, keeping her tone neutral. About yesterday. I wanted to apologize for real. Not just because I was forced to, but because you made me realize I've been an idiot all these years. Jennifer studied his face, trying to decide if he was sincere. Go on, she said. I always thought I was the best mechanic in the shop, that I knew everything about cars. Yesterday you showed me I don't even know half of what I think I do. And worse, you showed me I've been a jerk to you and a lot of other people. He took a deep breath before continuing. I know you'll probably end up being my boss, and I deserve that. But I wanted to tell you I'll try to be a better person, and if you're willing to teach me a few things about engines, I promise I'll listen and try to learn. Jennifer was surprised by the sincerity in his voice. She had expected resistance, maybe even sabotage, not a genuine apology. Mike, she said, everyone deserves a second chance, even you, but respect is earned through actions, not words. I understand, he replied. And about working as a janitor. I wanted to say I accept. 3 months, like you said. Jennifer nodded and went to find Mr. Thompson to give her answer. She found him in the office reviewing some estimates. Good morning, Jennifer, he said, looking up from the papers. Have you decided about my offer? I have, she replied. I accept, but with a few conditions. What conditions? First, I want complete freedom to reorganize the shop's diagnostic procedures. Second, I want all the mechanics to go through a refresher training with me. And third, I want to implement a quality program to ensure mistakes like the one Mike made never happen again. Mr. Thompson smiled. Perfect. When can you start? Today, Jennifer answered. But first I'd like to know why you're giving me this opportunity. It's not just because I fixed an engine yesterday. Mr. Thompson leaned back in his chair. Jennifer, I've had this workshop for 20 years. I've seen plenty of good mechanics, some even excellent. But yesterday, I saw something different in you. It wasn't just technical knowledge, it was passion, respect for the craft, and most of all, leadership. He stood and walked to the window overlooking the work area. Look there, he said, pointing to where Mike was sweeping the floor, wearing the same uniform Jennifer had once worn as a janitor. You accomplished in one day what I couldn't in years. You made him understand that respect matters. Jennifer looked out the window and saw Mike working diligently, without making faces or trying to avoid cleaning tasks. Besides, Mr. Robert continued, I looked into you last night. Jennifer's eyes widened. Looked into me? I remembered your last name and decided to check a few things. I found out you have a degree in mechanical engineering from UCLA, that you had your own workshop, and that you were an expert in imported engines. I also found out why you sold everything. Jennifer felt her face grow warm. Don't worry, he interrupted. I won't tell anyone about your private life, but now I understand why you're here, and I also realize I have someone in my hands who can transform this workshop. Jennifer felt exposed, but also relieved. It felt good not to have to hide who she really was anymore. "So, do you accept my terms?" she asked. "I accept them all," replied Mr. Robert. "In fact, I have an additional proposal. How about we create a training program for women interested in mechanics? You could coordinate it on Saturdays if you're available." Jennifer's heart raced. This was more than she had dreamed of. "That would be amazing," she said. "There are so many women who'd love to at least understand the basics about cars, or even make it a profession." "Perfect," said Mr. Robert. "Then it's settled. Welcome to the supervision team at Premium Motors Workshop." They shook hands, sealing the agreement. Jennifer left the office with a smile she hadn't worn in a long time. In the weeks that followed, the transformation at the workshop was visible. Jennifer implemented new diagnostic procedures, created checklists to avoid basic mistakes, and began weekly training sessions for the entire team. Mike, to everyone's surprise, took his punishment and commitment to improve seriously. He worked as a cleaner for the first 2 hours of the day and then returned to his mechanic duties, but now with a humility no one had seen before. "Jennifer," he said one Tuesday after one of her training sessions, "can I ask you something?" "Of course," she replied, putting away the teaching materials. "How do you remember so many technical details? I've been working with cars for 10 years, and you know things I didn't even know existed." Jennifer smiled. "Mike, knowledge isn't just experience, it's curiosity. It's reading manuals, studying new systems, talking to other professionals. It's never thinking you already know everything." "You read manuals?" he asked, genuinely interested. "Every single day," she replied. "Cars are constantly evolving. If you don't study, you fall behind." From that day on, Mike started borrowing the manuals Jennifer brought to the workshop. Other mechanics became interested too, and soon she had created a small technical library for the team. The most significant change, however, was in the quality of service. With Jennifer's new procedures, diagnostics became more accurate and repairs more efficient. Customers began noticing the difference, and the workshop started receiving praise it had never gotten before. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. But not everything was smooth sailing. About 2 months after Jennifer took on her new role, she faced her first major challenge as supervisor. It was a Thursday morning when a very upset customer showed up at the workshop. It was the businessman who owned the Mercedes she had fixed on her first day. He was clearly furious. "Who's in charge here?" he shouted as soon as he walked in. "You completely ruined my car." Mr. Robert quickly appeared, trying to calm the situation. "Mr. Richard, what happened? Wasn't your car working perfectly when you brought it in?" "Working?" the man said, exasperated. "Yesterday the engine completely seized. I was in an important meeting, and the car just stopped in the middle of Wilshire Boulevard. A total humiliation." Jennifer approached, trying to understand what had happened. "Mr. Richard," she said, introducing herself, "I'm the technical supervisor. Could you explain exactly what happened?" The man looked at her with disdain. "You? A woman is going to explain engines to me?" Jennifer took a deep breath, controlling her irritation. She'd faced this kind of prejudice many times before. "Yes, sir. I repaired your car 2 months ago, and I'd like to understand what might have gone wrong." "You were the one who worked on my car?" he asked, visibly angry. "I knew I shouldn't have let a woman touch my Mercedes." Mr. Thompson tried to intervene. "Mr. Richard, Jennifer is extremely competent." "Competent?" the customer interrupted. "My car's engine seized. Is that competence? I'm going to sue you and tell everyone this workshop is garbage." Jennifer stayed calm despite the difficult situation. "Mr. Richard, a seized engine can have many causes. Could you explain what exactly happened before the car stopped?" "I don't have to explain anything to you," he shouted. "I want compensation, and I want it now." That's when Mike stepped closer to the group. He'd heard the argument and decided to intervene. "Excuse me," he said, addressing the customer. "Are you talking about Jennifer Parker?" "Yes, that's who I'm talking about," the man replied. "Why?" "Because you're making a big mistake," Mike said, to everyone's surprise. "Jennifer is the best engine specialist I've ever known. If your car's engine seized, it wasn't her fault." The customer was confused by the unexpected defense. And who are you? I'm Mike Johnson, a mechanic for 10 years, and I can guarantee that if anyone can figure out what really happened to your car, it's her. Jennifer looked at Mike with surprise and gratitude. She hadn't expected him to defend her, especially after all the initial tension between them. "Mr. Richard," she said, seizing the opening Mike had created, "let me make you an offer. Bring your car here so I can inspect it. If I find the problem was caused by our mistake, we'll cover all repair costs. But if it was something else, you'll only pay for the diagnosis." The man hesitated. "What if you lie about what you find?" "You can bring a mechanic you trust to oversee the whole process," Jennifer replied. Total transparency. Mr. Thompson nodded in approval. It was a risky approach, but he trusted Jennifer's judgment. "Fine," the customer said, still reluctant. "But if I find out you're trying to cheat me—" "We won't cheat anyone," Jennifer said firmly. "Bring the car in." 2 hours later, a tow truck delivered the Mercedes to the workshop. Jennifer asked Mike and another mechanic to help inspect the vehicle, while the customer watched from a distance with his private mechanic. As soon as Jennifer opened the hood, she immediately saw what had happened. The engine was clearly overheated, with signs it had run without lubricating oil for an extended period. "Mike," she said, pointing at the engine, "what do you see here?" Mike leaned over and examined it carefully. "The engine seized from lack of lubrication. Look here, the connecting rods are damaged, the crankshaft is scored. This happens when a car runs without oil." "Exactly," Jennifer said. "Now let's find out what caused the oil loss." She went under the car and asked them to lift the vehicle. Soon she found what she was looking for. "Here's the problem," she said, pointing to the oil pan. "There's a hole here at the bottom. The oil has completely leaked out." The client's personal mechanic came closer to take a look. "You're right," he confirmed. "There's a hole in the oil pan. Looks like it hit something." Jennifer examined the hole more closely. From the shape and location, it seems the car ran over something sharp. Maybe a piece of metal, a sharp rock, something like that. The client approached, clearly embarrassed. Is that possible?" he asked. "More than possible," replied the personal mechanic. "Mr. Richard, do you remember driving through any construction sites, streets under repair, or places with debris in the last month?" The man thought for a moment. "Well, last week, I had to detour around some construction in Century City. It was dark and I might have run over something." Jennifer nodded. "That's most likely what happened. The hole isn't big, so the oil must have leaked slowly. The engine held up for a few days until the level got dangerously low. But why didn't the warning light come on the dashboard?" the client asked. Jennifer went inside the car and turned on the ignition. The dashboard lit up normally, but she noticed something. "Look here," she said, pointing to the dashboard. "The oil pressure light bulb is burned out. Didn't you notice it didn't come on when you started the car?" The client looked embarrassed. I never paid attention to that. I thought it was normal." The personal mechanic shook his head. "Mr. Richard, you should have brought the car in for a checkup as soon as you noticed the light wasn't working. Any mechanic would have caught the problem before the engine seized." The situation was clear to everyone. The issue hadn't been caused by any mistake from the workshop, but rather by a combination of circumstances: the hole in the oil pan from hitting something on the road, the burned-out warning light, and the owner's lack of attention. The client fell silent for a few moments, processing the information. I apologize," he said finally, addressing Jennifer. "I accused you unfairly. And on top of that, I was rude and prejudiced." Jennifer nodded but kept a professional tone. "What matters is we found the truth," she said. "Now we can assess whether it's worth repairing the engine or if it's better to replace it." "How much would a repair cost?" Jennifer examined the damaged engine again. "For a full repair, we're looking at least $20,000. The engine will need a complete rebuild." The client winced. "What about a new engine?" "A new engine from the dealership would cost around $40,000, Jennifer replied. "But there's a third option. A used engine in good condition for about $15,000 plus $4,000 for labor." "Is a used engine reliable?" he asked. "Depends on the source," Jennifer explained. "I have trusted suppliers who offer warranties. I can get you a low-mileage engine tested with a 6-month guarantee." The client thought for a few moments. "All right, Let's go with the used engine, and I'd like you personally to supervise the work. Of course, Jennifer replied. I'll oversee the entire process. As they finalized the service details, the client pulled Jennifer aside. Can I ask you a personal question? He said. Sure, she answered, curious. How did a professional of your caliber end up working as a cleaner, if you don't mind me asking? Jennifer hesitated for a moment but decided to tell the truth. My husband has multiple sclerosis, she said. I had to sell my workshop to pay for his treatment. I ended up taking the cleaning job because it was what was available and I needed flexible hours. The man was clearly embarrassed. I didn't know. I'm sorry for being so rude. It's okay, said Jennifer. You had no way of knowing. Can I make you an offer? He asked. I run an executive transportation company. We have a fleet of 40 imported cars. How about you become our official maintenance provider? Jennifer's eyes widened. Really? Really? After what I saw today, I'm sure you'll take good care of our vehicles, and I'd like to help in some way so you can keep doing what you do best. Jennifer felt her eyes welling up. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to Mr. Robert and prepare a proposal. Perfect, said the man, handing her his card. My name is Richard Miller. Call me when the proposal is ready. After the client left, Jennifer went to find Mr. Robert to tell him about the partnership offer. He was thrilled at the possibility. Jennifer, this could mean a 40% increase in the workshop's revenue, he said. Are you sure we can handle it? We'll need to hire another mechanic, she replied, and maybe an administrative assistant to manage the schedule. But yes, we can do it. Then let's move forward, said Mr. Robert. Prepare the proposal and we'll close this deal. As Jennifer worked on the proposal, Mike approached her. Jennifer, he said, can I tell you something? Of course, she replied, looking up from the papers. Thank you, he said simply. Thank you for what? For giving me a second chance, for teaching me things I didn't know, for showing me I can be a better person. Jennifer smiled. Mike, everyone deserves a chance to grow. You're proving it's worth investing in people. There's one more thing, he said hesitantly. I wanted to apologize for what happened on the first day. It wasn't just rudeness, it was sexism, and I'm trying to change that. I can see that, said Jennifer, and I'm glad you're making an effort to be better. You inspire me, he said. Seeing how you handle tough situations, how you stay calm, how much you know, it makes me want to be a better professional. Jennifer was touched by his words. Thank you, Mike. That means a lot to me. That night, Jennifer came home later than usual. Brian was in the kitchen trying to make dinner. His movements were slow and uncoordinated, but he always insisted on helping when he could. How was your day? He asked as soon as she walked in. Jennifer told him about the angry client, how she discovered the truth about the seized engine and the partnership offer. Brian listened carefully, smiling at the right moments. I'm so proud of you, he said when she finished. You're rebuilding your career, and on top of that, you're helping others grow too. It's strange, said Jennifer, sitting beside him. For 3 years, I felt invisible, like I didn't matter. Now I remember who I really am. You've always been the same person, said Brian. You just have the chance to show it now. They ate dinner while talking about plans for the workshop, hiring more staff, and the training program for women Jennifer wanted to start. There's one more thing, Jennifer said hesitantly. The contract with the transportation company could mean a lot more money. We could think about moving to a bigger apartment, maybe hiring a private physical therapist for you. Brian shook his head. Jennifer, we've already spent a fortune on my treatment. Now that you're earning better, I want you to use that money to rebuild your professional life. Maybe open a new workshop in the future. Brian, no, he interrupted. I've already taken too much from your life. I won't take your dreams too. Jennifer held his hand. You haven't taken anything from my life. You are my life. And my dream now is for us to be happy together, no matter where we are or what I'm doing. Brian smiled and kissed her softly. I love you, he said. I love you too, she replied. In the following weeks, the partnership with Richard Miller's company became a reality. The workshop began handling maintenance for the entire company fleet, which brought a significant increase in business and profits. Mr. Robert hired 2 new mechanics and a receptionist, and Jennifer took on the role of technical manager at the workshop. She created quality protocols, implemented a continuous training system, and set productivity and customer satisfaction goals. The women's training program also started running on Saturdays. Jennifer managed to convince a local technical school to certify the course, giving credibility to the program. The classes were always full, with women of all ages eager to learn basic mechanics. During one of the training Saturdays, one of the students approached Jennifer during the break. "Teacher Jennifer," said the woman around 50, "can I ask you something?" "Of course, Mrs. Margaret," Jennifer replied. "How did you find the courage to start over?" the woman asked. "I was widowed last year, and I'm trying to find a new career, but I'm afraid I won't make it." Jennifer stopped what she was doing and looked at her carefully. "Mrs. Margaret, courage isn't about not being afraid. Courage is being afraid and doing it anyway. I was terrified when I accepted the challenge to fix that engine in front of everyone." "But you already knew how to work on cars," Margaret said. "I don't know anything." "Everyone started knowing nothing," Jennifer replied. "My father always said knowledge is built brick by brick. You don't need to know everything at once. You just need to start." The conversation with Mrs. Margaret made Jennifer reflect on her own journey. She had truly come a long way since that morning when Mike had sarcastically challenged her. Later, while putting away the tools after class, Mike showed up at the workshop. He didn't work on Saturdays, but sometimes dropped by to help with the training program. "How was class today?" he asked. "Good," Jennifer replied. "We have 15 women in the beginner course and 5 in the advanced one." "It's amazing to see how excited they get," Mike said. "Last week, I helped Mrs. Wilson replace her car's alternator belt. She was so proud she took a picture and sent it to her kids." Jennifer smiled. It was rewarding to see the positive impact the program was having on people's lives. "Mike," she said, "can I tell you something?" "Sure." "I'm happy to see how much you've changed, not just as a professional but as a person." Mike blushed slightly. "I had to change," he said. "After what happened that day, I realized I was someone I didn't like. Arrogant, prejudiced, disrespectful." "And now?" Jennifer asked. "Now I try to be someone I'd want as a friend," he replied. "I still have a lot to improve, but at least I'm trying." Jennifer felt proud of his transformation. It was proof that people really can change when they want to. "There's one more thing I wanted to tell you," Mike said hesitantly. "I signed up for a technical course in automotive electronics. I want to specialize in modern car systems." "That's wonderful," said Jennifer, genuinely happy. "Automotive electronics is the future of the profession." "You're the one who inspired me to study more," he said. "Seeing how you master all the technical aspects made me realize how much I still have to learn." That night, Jennifer came home thinking about how much had changed in such a short time. It wasn't just her who had transformed, but also the people around her. Brian was in the living room reading a book. He had improved a lot in recent months. The new medications they had been able to afford with Jennifer's raise were working, and he was more energetic and mobile. "How was class today?" he asked. "Really good," Jennifer replied, sitting beside him. "The women are really learning. Some are already doing basic maintenance on their own cars." "And how's Mike?" Brian asked. He always took an interest in the stories Jennifer told about the workshop. "Getting better every day," she answered. "Today he told me he signed up for an automotive electronics course." "It's interesting how people can change when they have a good example to follow," Brian remarked. "Do you think I'm a good example?" Jennifer asked. "Jennifer, you're the best example I know," Brian said, taking her hand, "of courage, persistence, generosity. You could have humiliated Mike forever, but you chose to teach him a lesson that helped him grow." Jennifer nestled into the couch, feeling grateful for the life they were building together. "Brian," she said, "I have a confession to make." "What is it?" he asked, curious. "For a long time I felt guilty about selling the workshop, like I had given up on my dreams. And now I realize I didn't give up on my dreams. I just postponed them. And when they came back even better," she said. "I'm not just a mechanic now. I'm a leader, a teacher, a mentor. Brian smiled. "And you're just getting started," he said. "Who knows? Maybe one day you'll open your own workshop school." Jennifer had thought about it a few times, but always felt it was too big of a dream. "Do you think it would be possible?" she asked. "Jennifer, you've already proven you can do anything you set your mind to," Brian replied. "A workshop school would be perfect for you. You could train new mechanics, specialize in imported cars, offer courses for women." The idea began taking shape in Jennifer's mind. It was truly an ambitious project, but not impossible. "It would take a lot of money," she said. "We can save," Brian answered. "And with the reputation you're building, maybe you could find investors or even a bank loan." They spent the rest of the night talking about the possibility, making plans, calculating costs. It was a big dream, but for the first time in years, Jennifer allowed herself to dream big again. The following Monday, Jennifer arrived at the workshop with renewed energy. The prospect of an even brighter future motivated her to face any challenge. But she didn't expect the challenge waiting for her that day. Robert called her into his office as soon as she arrived. He looked worried. "Jennifer, we need to talk," he said. "Did something happen?" she asked, sitting in the chair across from his desk. "I received an offer yesterday," Robert said. "A chain of workshops wants to buy Premium Motors." Jennifer felt her stomach drop. "Are you going to sell?" she asked. "I don't know," he answered honestly. "It's a very good offer, Jennifer. They're offering 3 times what the workshop was worth a year ago." "Because of the increase in revenue," Jennifer concluded. "Exactly. Your arrival transformed this place. Productivity has increased, quality has improved, and we've gained important new clients. The workshop is worth much more now." Jennifer Parker fell silent, processing the information. "And if you sell, what happens to us?" she asked. "They guaranteed they'd keep the entire team," said Mr. Thompson. "In fact, they specifically want you to stay. They've offered you the position of regional manager, overseeing 5 workshops in their network." It was a tempting offer professionally, but Jennifer felt there was more at play. "Mr. Thompson, can I ask you a personal question?" she said. "Of course." "Are you thinking of selling because of the money or because you want to retire?" Mr. Thompson sighed. "A bit of both, to be honest. I'm 68, Jennifer. My wife wants us to travel, to enjoy life, and the offer is really very good." Jennifer understood his position but had a different proposal. "What if we found a third option?" she asked. "What kind of third option?" "What if I bought the workshop?" Jennifer said, surprising even herself with her own courage. Mr. Thompson's eyes widened. "Do you have the money for that?" "Not all of it," Jennifer admitted. "But I can get a loan. With our current revenue and contracts, any bank would finance the deal." Mr. Thompson grew thoughtful. "It's an interesting idea," he said, "but you'd have to compete with the network's offer." "I can't match their price," Jennifer said honestly, "but I can offer something they can't." "What's that?" "Continuity, preserving the workshop's culture, keeping everyone's jobs, and most of all, the guarantee that what we've built here won't be destroyed by corporate decisions made in distant offices." Mr. Thompson smiled. "You have 3 days to present me with a formal proposal. If you can match at least 80% of their offer, the workshop is yours." Jennifer left the office with her heart racing. It was the opportunity of a lifetime, but also the biggest challenge she'd ever faced. She spent the rest of the day talking to Mike and the other mechanics about the situation. Everyone was worried about the workshop being sold to a chain, but they were excited about Jennifer taking over. "Jennifer," Mike said, "if you buy the workshop, I'd like to be part of the ownership." "What do you mean?" she asked. "I've got some savings," he explained. "Not a lot, but I can invest and become a minority partner. I've always dreamed of having my own business, and there's no one I'd rather partner with." Mike's offer was a pleasant surprise, not just because of the money, but mostly because it showed how much trust he had in her. "Let's talk about this calmly," Jennifer said. "First, I need to crunch the numbers to see if it's feasible." That night, Jennifer and Brian stayed up late running calculations, researching interest rates and evaluating financing options. It wouldn't be easy, but it seemed possible. "With Mike's investment and a bank loan, you can get close to the amount they're asking," Brian said after reviewing everything. "And the risks?" Jennifer asked. They exist, Brian admitted, but you've already proven you can make the workshop thrive, and owning your own business has always been your dream. Our dream, Jennifer corrected. If I do this, it's because I know I can count on you. On Tuesday, Jennifer approached 2 banks to discuss loan options. The conversations were promising. With the workshop's current revenue and contracts, she had a good chance of securing the necessary financing. On Wednesday, she met with Mike to discuss the details of their partnership. They agreed that he would contribute 20% of the capital and take on the role of operations manager. Jennifer, Mike said during the conversation, I want you to know I'm not doing this just as an investment. I'm doing it because I believe in you and what we can build together. Thank you, Mike, Jennifer replied. It means a lot to know I can count on you. On Thursday, Jennifer presented her formal proposal to Mr. Thompson. She managed to reach 90% of the franchise's offer using a combination of a bank loan, Mike's investment, and her own savings. This is an excellent proposal, Mr. Thompson said after reviewing all the documents, and I'm happy to know the workshop will remain in good hands. So it's a deal? Jennifer asked, trying to control her excitement. It's a deal, Mr. Thompson confirmed, extending his hand to shake hers. Congratulations, you're the new owner of Premium Motors Workshop. Jennifer felt indescribable emotion. After all the challenges, all the hardships, she had not only returned to doing what she loved, but also fulfilled her dream of owning her own business. Mr. Thompson, she said, I'd like to make a proposal. What is it? He asked. How about you stay on as a consultant, part-time, to help me with the transition and so I can learn from your experience? Mr. Thompson smiled. It would be my pleasure, he said. To be honest, I was worried about being completely idle. A little work will do me good. That afternoon, Jennifer gathered the entire team to share the news. The reaction was one of joy and relief. Does this mean nothing will change? Asked one of the mechanics. On the contrary, Jennifer replied. A lot will change for the better. We'll expand, create new training programs, and attract new clients, but we'll always maintain the respect and quality that define this workshop. In the following months, Jennifer implemented several changes. She introduced a profit-sharing program for all employees, set individual professional growth goals, and significantly expanded the training program for women. The program became so popular that Jennifer decided to offer it in other communities as well. She partnered with technical schools and community centers to bring basic mechanics courses to women in vulnerable situations. Jennifer, said Mrs. Wilson, one of the program's first graduates during a graduation ceremony, I wanted to thank you for changing my life. How so, Mrs. Wilson? Jennifer asked. After learning basic mechanics here, I got a job at a small workshop near my home. It doesn't pay much, but it's enough to support myself with dignity. Most importantly, I learned it's never too late to start over. Stories like Mrs. Wilson's became common. Jennifer's program was truly impacting lives, and that gave her a satisfaction far beyond financial success. Brian was also doing better. The new treatments they could now afford were showing excellent results. He had regained much of his mobility and could stay alone for longer periods, allowing Jennifer to focus more on growing the workshop. Are you happy? Brian asked one evening over dinner. Very, Jennifer replied. Sometimes I can't believe everything that's happened. A year ago, I was just a cleaner. Today, I have my own workshop, an amazing team, social programs running. You were never just a cleaner, Brian said. You've always been an extraordinary person. You just needed the chance to show it. And the chance came from the most unlikely place, Jennifer said, laughing. From Mike's arrogance. Speaking of him, how are things at the company? Asked Brian. Great, replied Jennifer. He's become an exceptional partner and friend. It's amazing how people can change, or how they can show who they really are when they find the right environment, corrected Brian. 2 years after the day it all began, Jennifer was in her office reviewing the workshop's financial reports. The numbers were impressive. Revenue had tripled. They now had 22 employees and a waiting list of clients. Mike knocked on the door. Jennifer, can I come in? He asked. Of course, she replied. What is it? We've received an interesting offer, he said, sitting in the chair across from her desk. A university wants to partner with us to create a technical course in automotive mechanics. Really? Jennifer asked, intrigued. Tell me more. They want to use our workshop as a hands-on lab, and they want you to be the course coordinator. It'd be part-time, and they'd pay the workshop a good fee. It was exactly the kind of opportunity Jennifer had dreamed of, combining practical experience with academics, training new professionals with quality. Let's schedule a meeting with them, she said. I want to learn more about the proposal. Already done, Mike said, smiling. Thursday at 2 in the afternoon. Jennifer laughed. Mike had become not just an efficient partner, but someone who anticipated her needs and decisions. Mike, she said, can I ask you something? Sure. Do you regret challenging me that day? Mike thought for a moment. Never, he said. It was the best mistake I ever made. It forced me to face who I really was and gave me the chance to become a better person. And I'm grateful for that, Jennifer said, because it gave me the courage to be who I really am again. That afternoon, Jennifer received an unexpected call. It was Richard Miller, the businessman who owned the transport company. Jennifer, he said, I have a proposal for you. What kind of proposal? She asked. I'm starting a new company focused on electric and hybrid cars. I want you to be my partner in maintenance and services. It'd be a chance to be at the forefront of automotive technology. It was a tempting offer, but Jennifer didn't hesitate in her response. Richard, I really appreciate the trust, but my place is here. I have a team, social responsibilities, a life project that's working. I understand, he said, but if you change your mind, the door is always open. After hanging up, Jennifer reflected on how her perspective had changed. 2 years ago, an offer like that would have panicked her, wondering if it was an opportunity she couldn't miss. Now she knew exactly where she wanted to be and what she wanted to do. That Friday, during the graduation ceremony for another class of the women's training program, Jennifer was asked to give a speech. Friends, she began, looking at the 25 women graduating that day. When I started this program, the goal was to teach you about mechanics, but you've taught me something far more valuable. She paused, gathering her thoughts. You've taught me that ability has no age, that determination matters more than circumstances, and that everyone deserves the chance to discover what they're capable of. The women in the audience nodded, many with tears in their eyes. Some of you are here because you want a new career, others because you want to understand your cars better, and others still because you want to prove to yourselves that you can learn something new. All those reasons are valid and important. Jennifer looked at Mrs. Wilson sitting in the front row. She had become one of the most respected mechanics in the area and was now helping Jennifer as a volunteer instructor. What I want you to take from here isn't just technical knowledge. It's the certainty that you're capable of so much more than you imagine. It's the courage to take on challenges that seem impossible. It's the wisdom to understand that starting over isn't failure, it's growth. The room erupted in applause. Jennifer looked at the audience and saw Mike in the back, clapping enthusiastically. She saw Mr. Thompson, who still worked as a consultant and had become a close friend. She saw Brian, who had managed to attend the ceremony for the first time in months. And remember, she concluded, no matter where you are in life, no matter what job you do, no matter how others see you, you have worth, you have ability, and you deserve every opportunity to show what you're capable of. After the ceremony, as Jennifer spoke with the graduates and their families, a young woman in her 20s approached her. Professor Jennifer, the girl said, my name is Jessica. I came here because I want to be a mechanic, but everyone says it's not a job for women. Jennifer smiled, remembering herself in her youth. Jessica, she said, can I tell you a secret? Of course, the young woman replied. 2 years ago, everyone thought I was just a cleaner. Today I own my own workshop and train other women to be mechanics. Do you know what made the difference? What? Jessica asked, curious. I stopped caring what others thought and started focusing on what I knew I could do, Jennifer answered. If you want to be a mechanic, be one. The world needs more women like you. Jessica smiled, and Jennifer saw in her eyes the same determination she had felt that day when she accepted Mike's challenge. "Actually," Jennifer said, "we have an open apprenticeship position. Would you like to talk about it?" Jessica's eyes lit up. "Really?" she asked. "Really," Jennifer confirmed. "Come by Monday morning. We'll talk about your future." As she drove home that night with Brian beside her, Jennifer reflected on the journey she had taken. From cleaner to workshop owner, from invisible to mentor, from someone who had given up on her dreams to someone who helped others achieve theirs. "What are you thinking about?" Brian asked, noticing her silence. "I'm thinking that sometimes life takes us down paths we don't understand at the time," she replied. "If someone had told me 3 years ago that I'd get where I am today because of a public humiliation, I wouldn't have believed it." "And do you regret anything?" he asked. Jennifer thought for a moment. "I don't regret a thing," she finally said. "Not even selling my first workshop, because if I hadn't gone through all of that, I wouldn't have learned what truly matters." "And what truly matters?" Brian asked, though he already knew the answer. "People," Jennifer said. "So in the end, it doesn't matter how much you know about engines if you don't know how to treat people with respect. It doesn't matter how much you earn if you don't use your success to help others grow too." They arrived home and sat on the porch, looking out at the lit-up city below. It was a better apartment than before, but still modest. Jennifer could afford a more luxurious place, but she preferred to invest the money in expanding social programs and Brian's treatment. "Jennifer," Brian said, "I have a confession to make." "What is it?" she asked, curious. "For a long time, I felt guilty for changing your life, for forcing you to give up your career to take care of me." "Brian, let me finish," he said gently. "Today, watching you speak to those women, seeing the impact you have on people's lives, I realized that maybe everything happened the way it was supposed to." "What do you mean?" asked Jennifer. "If you hadn't sold the workshop, if you hadn't become a cleaner, if you hadn't gone through all those hardships, would you have become the person you are today?" he asked. "Would you have the humility, the empathy, the strength you have now?" Jennifer had never thought about it that way. "Maybe not," she admitted. "So it's not that you lost 3 years of your life," said Brian. "It's that you gained 3 years of experience that made you a better person." Jennifer nestled into Brian's embrace, feeling grateful for everything they'd been through together, both the struggles and the victories. "I love you," she said. "I love you too," he replied. "And I'm so proud of the extraordinary woman you've always been, and that now everyone can see." The next morning, Monday, Jennifer arrived at the workshop earlier than usual. She loved these quiet moments when she could plan her day and reflect on the challenges and opportunities ahead. Jessica was waiting at the door, an hour before the scheduled time. "Good morning, Professor Jennifer," the young woman said. "Sorry for coming so early, but I was really excited." Jennifer smiled. She recognized in her the same eagerness she'd felt when she first started working in mechanics. "It's no problem," she said, opening the workshop door. "Excitement is a sign that you really want this." They walked in together, and Jennifer showed Jessica around the entire workshop. The young woman asked smart questions and showed genuine interest in every detail. "Jessica," Jennifer said after finishing the tour, "being a mechanic isn't easy. It's a job that requires physical strength, patience, constant study, and a lot of dedication. Are you sure this is what you want?" "I am," Jessica answered without hesitation. "Ever since I was little, I've loved understanding how things work. My grandfather had a small workshop, and I'd spend hours there watching him work. When he passed away, I promised myself that one day I'd be a mechanic like him." Jennifer felt an immediate connection to the young woman's story. "Did your grandfather teach you anything?" she asked. "He taught me that an engine is like a heart," Jessica said. "If you listen carefully, it tells you what's wrong." Jennifer's eyes widened. It was the exact same phrase her father always used. "What's wrong?" Jessica asked, noticing Jennifer's reaction. "Nothing," Jennifer said, smiling. "It's just that your grandfather thought exactly like my dad. I think you'll do really well here." Mike arrived a few minutes later and was introduced to Jessica. He greeted her with respect and genuine interest, a far cry from the arrogant man he'd once been. "Jessica," he said, "if you stay here, you'll learn from the best. Jennifer is the most skilled person I know in this profession." "And Mike is proof that everyone can grow and improve," Jennifer said, returning the compliment. "When I first got here, he was a skilled but arrogant mechanic. Now he's an exceptional partner and a true friend." Mike blushed a little but smiled. "Jennifer has a gift for bringing out the best in people," he told Jessica. "You'll see." During Jessica's first few weeks at the workshop, Jennifer remembered what it was like to be starting out, full of enthusiasm, but also insecurities. She made sure to be the mentor she wished she'd had when she was young. "Jessica," she said one afternoon after the young woman had made a simple mistake, "everyone makes mistakes when they're learning. What matters isn't never making mistakes, but learning from each one." "I feel so stupid sometimes," Jessica admitted. "You all make everything look so easy." "Do you know how many years I've been working with cars?" Jennifer asked. "More than 15. And you know what? I still learn new things every week." "Really?" asked Jessica, surprised. "Really," confirmed Jennifer. "Automotive technology evolves constantly. Those who stop learning get left behind. The difference between a good professional and an exceptional one isn't about never having doubts. It's about always seeking answers." These conversations had become routine. Jennifer discovered she loved teaching, watching people grow and discover their potential. 3 months after Jessica arrived, the workshop received a special visit, a television crew wanting to do a story on female entrepreneurship. "Jennifer Parker," the reporter said during filming, "your story has become well known in the area, from janitor to workshop owner in less than 3 years. What's the secret to your success?" Jennifer thought for a moment before answering. "I don't think it's about secrets," she said. "It's about values, respect for people, dedication to work, courage to take on challenges, and the humility to keep learning." "And what advice would you give other women who want to follow their dreams?" the reporter asked. "Don't let anyone tell them they can't," Jennifer replied. "Have the courage to show what you're capable of, even when no one expects it from you. And most importantly, use your success to help others grow too." The story aired the following week, bringing even more visibility to Jennifer's work. She started receiving invitations to speak, partnership proposals, and requests from women in other cities wanting to replicate the training program. "Jennifer," Mike said during a planning meeting, "I think it's time we consider a bigger expansion." "What kind of expansion?" she asked. "A social franchise," he explained. "We could create a model that can be replicated in other cities with our technical and methodological support." It was an ambitious idea, but Jennifer liked the proposal. "It would multiply the impact of our work," she said. "How many cities do you think would be interested?" "With the buzz from the story, I'm sure at least 10 would show immediate interest," Mike replied. They spent the next few weeks developing a social franchise model that could be implemented with low startup costs, but high social impact. The project caught the attention of social organizations and even the state government, which offered financial support for implementation in smaller cities. "Jennifer," the government representative said during a meeting, "your model could impact thousands of women across the state. We're willing to invest in its expansion." It was more than Jennifer had ever dreamed. From the sarcastic challenge of an arrogant mechanic, a movement had been born, one that was transforming lives on an ever-growing scale. That night, she told Brian everything. "Do you realize the magnitude of what's happening?" he asked. "You're creating a social movement." "Sometimes I can't believe it," Jennifer admitted. "It feels like just yesterday I was mopping floors and feeling invisible." "And now you're an example to thousands of women," Brian said. "That's no coincidence, Jennifer. It's the result of your character, your skill, and your generosity." 6 months later, the first social franchise opened in a small town. Jennifer attended the launch in person and was moved to see 40 women sign up for the first course. "Professor Jennifer," said one of the applicants, a woman around 60, "I've always wanted to learn about cars, but never had the courage. Your story gave me that courage." Moments like that reminded Jennifer why it was all worth it. 2 years after the television report, Jennifer was invited to receive a Social Entrepreneurship Award. The ceremony took place in Los Angeles, and Brian was able to accompany her. "This award," she said in her acceptance speech, "isn't just mine. It belongs to all the women who had the courage to take on the challenge of learning something new. It belongs to all the professionals who understood that teaching is a way to multiply knowledge. It belongs to everyone who believes we can build a fairer society through education and respect." In the audience, she saw Mike, Mr. Robert, several former students from the program, including Mrs. Margaret and Jessica, who was now a skilled mechanic and had become an instructor for the program. "But most of all," she continued, "this award is for my husband Brian, who taught me that true success isn't about what you achieve for yourself, but what you can do for others." The audience rose in applause, and Jennifer felt this was one of the most important moments of her life. After the ceremony, during the celebration, Mike approached her. "Jennifer," he said, "I wanted to thank you." "Thank me for what?" she asked. "For giving me the chance to be part of this story," he replied. "When I challenged you that day, I was trying to humiliate you, but you turned my attempt at humiliation into the greatest opportunity for growth in my life." Jennifer smiled. "Mike, do you know what I've learned over all these years?" "What?" "That the best opportunities sometimes come disguised as problems," she said. "If you hadn't challenged me, I might have stayed invisible forever." "And the world would be worse off for it," Mike replied. That night at the hotel, Jennifer and Brian talked about everything that had happened over the past few years. "Are you happy?" Brian asked. "Completely," Jennifer answered. "I have the work I love. I make a positive impact on people's lives. I have an amazing team, and most of all, I have you. And there's one more thing," Brian said with a mysterious smile. "What?" Jennifer asked curiously. Brian took her hand and placed it on his leg. "Feel that?" he asked. Jennifer felt a slight movement under her hand. "Brian, you're moving my leg," he finished, tears in his eyes. "The new treatments are working better than we expected. The doctors think I could regain much of my mobility." Jennifer began to cry with joy. "This is incredible," she said, hugging him. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "I wanted to be sure," Brian replied, "and I wanted it to be a surprise on your award day." They held each other for a long time, grateful for all the blessings life had given them. "Jennifer," Brian said, "can I ask you something?" "Of course. If you could go back in time and change anything in our story, would you?" Jennifer thought for a moment. "I wouldn't change a thing," she finally said. "Not even your illness, not even the hard years, because all of it brought us here." "Even having to sell your first workshop?" Brian asked. "Especially selling my first workshop," Jennifer replied. "Because if I hadn't sold it, I wouldn't have learned what truly matters. I wouldn't have developed the humility and empathy that allowed me to help others." "And you wouldn't have become the exceptional person you are today," Brian said. The next morning, they returned to Los Angeles and the routine of the workshop. But everything felt different now. Jennifer felt complete, fulfilled, ready for the next challenges. Jessica was waiting for her with news. "Jennifer," she said excitedly, "I got an offer from a university to develop a technical course specifically for women. They want me to be the coordinator." "That's wonderful," said Jennifer. "And will you accept it?" "Only if you give me your blessing," said Jessica. "You're the one who taught me everything I know." Jennifer felt an immense pride seeing her first student growing and finding her own path. "Of course you have my blessing," she said, "and more than that, you have my full support. I can even help structure the course." "Thank you," said Jessica, hugging her. "You changed my life." "You changed mine too," Jennifer replied. "All of you did." That afternoon, as she watched the workshop's activity, Jennifer reflected on the entire journey. She saw Mike teaching one of the younger mechanics with the patience and respect he had learned during his own transformation. She saw Mr. Thompson talking to a customer, still active and happy to be part of that project. She saw the cleaning tools in the corner, which had once been her only work instruments. The phone rang, interrupting her thoughts. "Premium Motors Workshop, Jennifer speaking." "Jennifer?" said a woman's voice on the other end. "My name is Sarah. I'm from San Diego. I saw your story on TV and would like to implement a program like yours here in our city." "Of course, Sarah," Jennifer replied, "and let's talk about it. When can you come here to see our work?" Conversations like that came every day. The movement that had started with a sarcastic challenge was spreading across the country. At the end of the day, after all the employees had left, Jennifer stayed alone in the workshop for a few minutes. She looked at the black Mercedes in the service area, coincidentally, the same model she had repaired on that first day. She approached the car and placed her hand on the hood, remembering all the feelings she had experienced on that transformative morning: fear, determination, longing, hope. "Thank you," she murmured, speaking to no one in particular, but at the same time to everyone who had been part of her journey. Mike appeared at the workshop door. "Jennifer," he called, "did you forget something?" "No," she replied, smiling. "I was just remembering how it all began." "And how it will continue," said Mike, joining her by the Mercedes. "Because this story is just beginning." Jennifer looked around the workshop one last time before leaving. The organized tools, the modern equipment, the certificates on the wall, the photos of the graduating classes from the training program. All of it had been born from a moment of humiliation that she had chosen to turn into an opportunity for growth. As she walked to the car with Mike, Jennifer thought of all the women still out there, feeling invisible, underestimated, unaware of what they were capable of. "Mike," she said, "I think we need to expand the program." "Even more?" he asked, laughing. "Much more," she replied. "Because there are so many people out there who need to discover they can do far more than they imagine." "Then let's do it," said Mike. "Together, as always." Jennifer smiled, thinking about the future still ahead. There was so much to do, so many people to help, so many dreams to fulfill. She drove home that night with a heart full of gratitude and her eyes set on the future. Brian was waiting for her for dinner, probably eager to hear about her day and to plan the next one. Life had taught her that sometimes the biggest challenges are, in fact, the greatest gifts. And that true victory isn't about proving you're better than others, but about helping others discover they can be better too. End of story. Now tell us what you thought of this story and where you're watching from. If you have something to share with us, leave your sincere words in the comments. Do you believe Jennifer made the right decisions? We're eager to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to leave your like and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss other exciting stories.